Hello, everybody, and welcome to the September meetup for Data for Good in Calgary. We're really thrilled to have you here today and really looking forward to our presentation from Jumpstart Refugee Talent and their reflections on the Datathon that we had in May. But first, a few slides on background for Data for Good. I know some of you are first timers and for others as well. Just start off with a land acknowledgement that in the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge living on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, which is the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani First Nations, the Tsuut'ina, and Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, Wesley, and Métis Nation Region 3, and all others who make their homes in southern Alberta. And especially sort of poignant as we approach Reconciliation Day on Saturday, and hopefully we'll all can take some time then to further reflect and participate in the many events that are happening around the city and around the country. So, Data for Good, we're a group of volunteers, and we work together to share our passion and our data and skills related to data to really help make our communities better. And we do this by engaging with nonprofit and social organizations who typically have a lot of data, but may not have the skills and resources and capacity to really work with it. And that's where Data for Good comes in. We are one of 9 chapters across Canada, from Vancouver to Halifax. And yeah, we've been around for a while, and some of the stats there are members across the country and the number of organizations that we've helped. So we started in 2013, and so we'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary here shortly. Didn't update this slide, but we're at 2,900 plus members. So we're getting close to 3,000. So that would be a cool challenge for us, that by January, maybe we can make it to the 3,000 member mark on Meetup. And we work in a number of different ways that I'll provide a bit of information on. And of course, we have our monthly meetups on the fourth Thursday of the month. And you can encourage your friends to join our meetup through our meetup group. We also have an X feed at Data for Good YYC, and part of the national website. There's a chapter or a Calgary chapter tab on the Data for Good website. Yeah, so the ways that we work, we do our large events once or twice a year. And so a great example of that is what we did in May with Jumpstart Refugee Talent. And here's a few of the other organizations that we've worked with, over the last 10 years in Calgary, and then many others with the other chapters have engaged with as well. So these are big events. They're a lot of prep work before, during, and after, and working with larger organizations. So we often have smaller organizations coming to us with a particular challenge, and we'll invite them into the meetup, and they'll sort of tell us about their organization and their challenge. And then we'll invite you to volunteer, and typically, 5 to 10 volunteers go away and work with these organizations. So good examples of that is the Canadian Cultural Mosaic Foundation. We did some work with a bunch of data that they collected, and did some dashboards and web enablement. So if you Google that organization, their website features a lot of the work that Data for Good actually did. And in June, we completed a really important project on human trafficking, along with policy-wise with an organization called Not in My City. So we don't have any partner projects going right now, but we have a couple in the hopper that we're just kind of working with, and we'll announce those hopefully in the next few months. And then we, over the last year or so, we wanted to have even more opportunities for you guys to engage and work on projects. So the concept of micro projects had come up, and we've had a couple, maybe 3 cohorts of these micro projects where we take one of our meetups, invite all of our members to kind of pitch an idea involving a particular data set or working with a smaller organization. Yeah, and we've done air quality in Calgary. We've done pet adoption, crime stats, and all kinds of interesting things. And so we'll be providing opportunities this evening for some micro projects that are related to Jumpstart Refugee Talent. And then we're hoping probably at our November meetup, we'll have an open call for the fourth cohort of open micro projects. So keep that in mind. Think of some great ideas, look for some great data sets that you can be using. So another opportunity to get involved and participate. This is coming from the national arts sector. And they have a really interesting initiative that they are launching around designing your data. And they have an arts data portal and a bunch of resources, but they're launching a specific initiative to bring in, I think about 12 or 15 organizations to work in an online fashion to really get some coaching and some training, as well as looking at their data and putting their data together. So they're looking for coaches to join this initiative. And these coaches, as it says here, provide guidance, advice, and practical insights, based on their experience. Yeah, and there's a link for the application. I'll put that in the chat once I stop presenting here. Yeah, and I've also posted this on the Data for Good Calgary meetup site in the discussion area. So the link is there, as well as a link to the website of the organization that's organizing all this. Great, which brings us to this evening. And again, we're really excited to have Jumpstart Refugee Talent back with us again. And at this point, I will turn it over to Wasim, and feel free to share your screen and take it away.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I hope you can see my screen.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much again. And hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this evening. My name is Wasim Jawad. I'm the Senior Manager for Program Development and Entrepreneurship Programs at Jumpstart. I'm based in Toronto. We are a national organization. So I'm based in Toronto here. Check this. Yeah. I want to start with a big thank you to the Data for Good management, volunteers, teams that work with us in the Datathon, and the great insights and plans and ideas that we're now putting in action and in a short and the long-term plans. I really want to thank you for the great efforts, the great ideas, the great planning, and looking forward to the micro projects in the coming few weeks. And you will see now how that is impacting a lot of our clients in a very meaningful way to their jobs, their career path, and their family, actually, that they're living here in Canada. So big thank you, guys, and to the whole community there, the great work that you're working on. So a general overview about the Jumpstart. We are Jumpstart Refugee Talent is a refugee-led charitable organization. We founded in 2016, and we are focusing on the economic empowerment of newly settled refugees in Canada by facilitating meaningful employment and entrepreneurial opportunities. The idea of establishing Jumpstart came from our founder when he found this gap with a highly skilled refugees coming to Canada, but there is the way to find a meaningful employment opportunities. So we are supporting refugees with all this kind of refugee status, either let's say asylum claimant or seekers, or a refugee who arrived as a refugee to Canada. They are eligible to work in Canada, so anybody who has also the work permit, and currently unemployed or underemployed. Well, that means that they have a survival job or working in a job that's not related to their education or career path that they're looking to here in Canada, and they're actively seeking for employment opportunities. So I want to give you an overview about the programs. I know a lot of people here in this session know about Jumpstart already in our last meetings and maybe in the projects. In the general programs or let's say the services we're providing, the main services of the Welcome Talent Canada, it's a mentorship program where we connect refugees with domain expert mentors in their fields. And this helps refugees to do networking, to maybe enhance their resume, their interview, preparing them to the interview and how to choose their career path, where to find those kind of jobs that they're looking for, and a lot of more services, let's say, focused on their individual needs. We also provide the resume support service, where it's a tailored service provided by our experts, by our team, to make our clients' resume more as a Canadian or North American styles. Most of our clients come with those general resume, and that would be a barrier with finding the right opportunity or qualifying them to the job that they will fit. The West Gateway, it's an educational service, equivalence service provided in partnership with West, the World Educational Service. We support our clients by, let's say, transferring their credential, their educational licensing or diplomas or any qualifications to the equivalent Canadian ones. Our core, let's say, service is the Refugee Talent Hub. It's the employment support. This is the core of what we are doing there. The RTH team providing, working with our partners and employers. Most of them are the small to big corporates to find the right talent refugee working in a certain positions, and also work with our clients, preparing them to apply to those positions and how to prepare them actually for the submission interview, and finding or placement of this job. The last one is the entrepreneurship services. I'm managing those services. We have many programs under this umbrella. We have some, like, for example, Hair Startup, which is focused on the woman led businesses. This cohort is based in the training phase. There are three main phases: training, then preparing their business, launching their business, and then incubation, which is including also a pre-seed funding. This year, we are now in the incubation for the hair startup cohort based on the e-commerce businesses. We also have a business consultation service. It's a one-to-one service. We are also building a marketplace where we can bring all those products and services coming from those businesses to the clients or to the market. We also have some of programs like Reinvest, where we bring startups, refugee-led startups, to meet angel investors. We ran that last year here in Ontario. And we have also incubation. We are building incubation service called Refugee Entrepreneur 360. So when we partner with Data for Good, we were looking in a certain to understand our clients and our work in a better way. And to be frank with you, we have, as Jeff mentioned, we have a limited resources. We have a let's say, a small team, 30 to 40 now, team member. And we have, as all nonprofits and charities, we have a limited funds, and we really need to focus our investment, our efforts in the right way. So we want to understand what's make our clients and employers more or less successful, and how we can do more better work, let's say, and to put our plans in a data-driven way. And this is why we partnered with Data for Good in this in the Datathon last May. I will go now through the tables that work. We have 6 teams, I believe 6 tables who work in a specific areas, either in the data visualization or data analysis, and what insights we get from those tables or teams, and what action would and plans being put in action actually from Jumpstart. So table 1 or team 1 worked on the exploratory data analysis, and that's where analyzing the clients in general and how the interventions coming between our teams and those clients, where to identify the data gaps and suggest improvement, and explore clustering methods and visualizations for insights. A sample questions asked for a team like, what insights are you able to gather from exploratory data analysis? We got a great, let's say, hidden insights and obvious insights, right? So, for example, we found that years between intake and employment, we get a great results. For example, within 1 to 2 years, we got a great results when they become, let's say, from the intake to finding the employment opportunities. Why? If they wait there longer, it's most likely they will not get employment. And this is actually not because maybe let's say the service we are providing, but the lack of interventions and updating our data. And the other thing that we have more than 200 people that have received 0 interventions. So we don't have also updates about those records. We found that the mentorship has the biggest impacts on the employment service. We have almost 1.6 times more likely to be employed if they have a mentor. We found that women are perceiving credential recognitions as biggest barrier for the women clients within our database. So what actions we put there? We are now putting more effective approach to motivate our clients to interact and to update their records. We're putting more mechanisms to include those kind of updating records, participating in events, and be involved in these related programs. We are also investing more in the WTS, which is the mentorship programs, because we found this is a really helpful tool and service for the employment services. So we are building these more events with the mentors. We're trying to bring more mentors through campaigns from our partners and employers that we're working closely with. Table 2 or team 2, we're working on the correlation in the employment success. So that's in summary that investing correlation between program participants and employment success, examine demographic factors and their impact on success, and explore effects of various factors on employment income and timeline. As a simple question we asked this team about, are there any demographic factors that might have causality in employment success, either through referrals or employment status? The team 3 also, I will show you how those teams came with really most likely insights and let's say ideas. Team 3 related to the programming. The objectives was to assess the impact of the mentorship, educational credentials, and entrepreneurship programs in the employment success, and explore the effects of various program factors on outcomes. The simple question was, what does participating in mentorship say about overall employment success? And is referral and interview and hire success? So we have those 3, let's say, main phases during our hiring, let's say, cycle, which is referral, interviewing, and then the hiring or placement. Team 6 with the open-ended, let's say, team. We asked them to assess the data validity and representativeness, refine the social return of investment calculations, how to explore AI applications, and consider the visibility of creating a recommendation system for job matching. The sample question was that data validity, looking at our data compared to other data sets, or for example, size, and would you say this data is representative of a large population? Why or why not? We got great, let's say, insights here. Some of them, it's really obvious, but some of them are hidden insights and ideas. For example, the higher English, more likely to have meaningful employment, and that's, let's say, obvious, for example, and more likely to use services and have higher success rate in programs. Lower English, more likely to have survival jobs. But we found that women more likely to be unemployed across English levels, more ranked in CLB, or the level between 4 to 5. This is in scale between 0 to 8. 8 is the most fluent or good with English. 0 have no English language level, let's say. Women much more likely to change to not seeking employment, while men more likely to change to survival job by time. Over time, people coming to Jumpstart are younger when they fill out the intake form. So we are seeing this trend of the age, or the age group. As you get older, it takes longer to find employment. So most of our the success rates was between the 20 to 40 year old, and within less than 6 months they will find a job. Male clients more likely want to continue working in the same industry, 71%, while in the women we find it 59%. Intermediate English, more likely to move to customer service and more likely to leave business and project management. Our current industry list, that was the old, in May, we updated, I will show you now the action, has a huge data gaps that provide a challenge to the teams to find or to correlate between the industry, the clients, and our service. Women are making less and taking more time to find employment. Men tend to stay in the same industry from their origin countries. Industry can play major role in the amount you're making and the time it takes to get employed. So there is a difference between the industry, but also the huge gaps in our industry list make it difficult to find the top rank, let's say. Interview prep has impact on getting clients hired, and that was really interesting idea that the people who we saw that, okay, all the, let's say, preparation tasks help in the employment for sure, but mainly the interview prep make a huge difference for our clients. It give more than 58% to get those kind of the hiring chance. The mentorship program, if our clients matched within the WTC program, the mentorship, they will be more likely to have a positive employment change. So also interview prep and the mentorship. At least one referral more likely to have a positive employment change. Mentees of super mentors seems to feel more supported in career path, and normal they will get more better networking and professional profile. The super mentors more likely to introduce to more network connections, and the super mentees are more likely to respond to those interested to be referred. Men are getting more referral than women and getting hired more than women. Again, and that's also between all these three, let's say, teams, we got the same result in a different data set and in a different areas and in different, let's say, industries. Similar trends on a demographical nationally, and through the social return of investment, we need to use industry to calculate the average income for tax contribution, because that will be different between industries and sectors. So the actions we took, that Jumpstart is bringing now a language training to our clients who has the language level less than 5. So we are testing different approach. We're bringing, for example, in the next 3 to 6 months, we are bringing 2 actually methods of this training. One of them is focused group. We are partnering with the language training centers to provide those kind of focused training in the next 3 to 6 months. And we're also testing an AI tools, a self-service training, let's say, service. And we want to measure the outcome between those 2 methods at the end of this 3 to 6 months, and to see what the improvement and how that will be affecting the employment as well in the future. So that's a great insight regarding how to measure and how to test different approaches. We're bringing also some services that targeting women specifically to make it to increase their chances and to better tailor those services. So, for example, we are bringing childcare services during our events or our hiring events. We are also do self-training resources provided for women. And we are also, I didn't mention this here also because it's related to the mentorship. We are also providing more female mentors, because also there was an insight that a similar gender mentors or peers, let's say, had a better chance. So female to female mentor and mentees get better results than a mixed gender pairs. So we are now increasing or trying to approach to increase our female mentors, let's say, experts. We have updated our industry list. We add more industries. We make it more detailed one, because that will help us in a, let's say, hopefully in the mid and long term to analyze our the correlation and the data analysis there. We are investing more in the interview prep services. So we also got funds for building an AI tools that support our clients to in their preparation for the interview. So it will give a mock interview. It will do an AI tool for the consultation to remove the hesitance within our clients to interact with experts to see that how can I ask this, how can I reply this. So when they are talking to technology, they will ask whatever they want. They will not hide those kind of cultural barriers within our clients. And we are also bringing one-to-one targeted interview prep with our team and with the domain experts. So once they're finished these AI tools, they will be qualified to reserve one-to-one sessions with our experts. We are focusing on bringing more female mentors. I mentioned that to increase the chance for our female clients, let's say. We have updated our mentorship parts. So we are putting more details about the reason of the failure of the mentorship service, the duration, what type of failure? Was it from the mentor or mentees, or let's say the session, lack of experience? We put more details to understand why the success and the failure of the mentorship service, because it's a crucial service for us now. And we're including the average income by industry in our impact reports that's coming, let's say the annual reports, to show, let's say, our impact to our funders and partners. Table 4 was more focused on the spatial analysis. And we wanted to analyze the client's origin and settlement locations and determine the effects of the location on employment outcomes, and compare Jumpstart's data with larger open data sets. For example, we were asking, does where clients come from or where they settle have an effect on their employment, let's say, status and other outcomes? We found a really interesting insights that show that either it's based on the clients and maybe the job market on those areas, or maybe also the diversity of these, or accepting the employers at those, let's say, areas or provinces. So for example, Alberta and BC has better results and more diversity than Ontario. We found that the Venezuela and Colombian origin clients did the best interview rate, or have the best interview rate. Yemen has widely higher interview to higher rates, and maybe because they've been here for a longer time and they understand more the job market and the employers. Ontario and Alberta a little faster to find employment, and that's maybe because of the size of the job market here, but better employment numbers overall in BC and Quebec. Of the top 5 countries, Nigeria and Ethiopia getting shorter timeline than Afghanian, Syrian, and Ukrainian. And that's interesting. That was linked maybe to the mentors, and also the let's say the cultural let's say background of those clients, and how they apply, or how they accept advices, maybe the mentorship, and how they interact with other experts or the other people. The action based on those insights, we are discussing really interesting approach. We are bringing now ambassador program to target a special communities and let's say areas and segments. We want to bring those ambassador, either a refugee or old clients, let's say, successful stories, or maybe ambassador from those communities who have those impact and spread the word. We're holding targeted hiring events in the different provinces. Previously, we were focusing more on the big cities, certain industry, but now we want to see those kind of trends coming from those provinces to another rural areas, and in a different, let's say, sectors and industries. Actually, we need more help to understand the correlation between our services and the locations. We need to find the best service by location, the aging with the location, the origin and the location where they are settled. We really think that this is a hidden area for us, and we can do more. This is why we would like to bring maybe 2 ideas or 2 micro projects that we think it's really helpful for us. But again, we want to listen from the community, from the expert yourself. We think that it's really a good idea to go more or dive deeper in the mentorship program and how we can make it more effective and get the best of it. So to continue investing into what we started in table 3 and the team 3 in assessing the impact of mentorship and how to enhance it. The other thing is more focused look at refugee from a specific regions and countries and where they're settled. We want to understand the best, based on our data, how to provide our services based on either the origin of those clients or where they're locating now. I want to thank you again. It was really a pleasure to get the outcomes and the insights from you. And actually, it helped us to put our short and long-term plans, and looking forward to a long relationship with the volunteers and with Data for Good. Thank you so much. Over to you, David.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Wasim. That was super interesting and great to see that you've been able to take so much from it. So I think, like you said at the beginning, you know, really a big thank you to all the volunteers and big pat on your back for everyone who contributed to this as part of the Datathon. I think, Wasim, are you okay with taking a few minutes for questions here before I go into my set of slides? And I just have a few slides, everyone, about the micro project specifically. But I think this will be a good time to pause and see if anyone has any questions about the results that Wasim just presented. I believe folks can unmute or raise their hand or put a question in the chat. So feel free to contribute in whatever way you are most comfortable.
And I'm happy to show, maybe I've skipped the part of where the data, we are using a Salesforce. Our data is coming from a Salesforce. Salesforce is our main, let's say, data hosting, let's say, service. Most of our data coming from the intake surveys or intake forms, from feedback surveys, coming from phone calls from our teams, including this. So we have different source of data, but most of it is, all of our data is hosted in the Salesforce, let's say.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for clarifying that. So Corinne made a comment there. I think less of a question though, but thanks for that comment, Corinne. Wasim, I actually have a couple of questions, or maybe one comment and one question. So first of all, I think it's really cool that you've started providing things like childcare services at some of your main events to make the events more accessible to women. So I think that's really cool, actually, and really a great idea, I feel like, and fantastic to see. Hopefully that improves engagement. You know, the data head in me is always like, oh, make sure you track the data to see whether it leads in the outcome that you're assuming.
Absolutely.
And then
this is the insightful, actually, if I get you here, it's
sure.
really how to find that, okay, the woman and how the barrier they're thinking of. And maybe it's starting with the small things to interact with, and maybe to bring them to start, let's say, the process. And thank you for that, because we saw that the woman, the first step is the hardest one for the woman class, right? Mm-hmm. And they want to change either to other career or other path and keep changing, and sometimes that's frustrating for them.
Right. Awesome. Yeah, curious to see where that ends up and how that goes. My question though that I had was about, you mentioned the interview prep. And so like using, I think, an AI-based tool to do some interview practice. Did you say that you're building that tool, or is that a tool that you're buying from a vendor?
For now, it's buying. It's a third-party provider. But we want to, and that's actually phase 2. We are now providing let's say, a 6-month testing period for a certain group of clients in a certain industry. We want to know exactly how, or to measure the impact there. So we'll provide this tool, the access to this tool, to a certain sample, let's say, measure the impact, and then we will see how, from that, let's say, experience, we will see what the topic was asked from this clients? What kind of, so we want to analyze the text and the conversations. We want to see the duration of this sessions and how people start the conversation and end it up, and how they build upon these kind of tools to come or to bring the topics to the one-to-one sessions. So it's really a lot of analyzing. The next phase will be analyzing this data and come up with the best practice, right? Because it's a new things for us. We think that, first of all, we need 24/7 tools rather than just putting them in a waiting list till our expert or mentors be available. So the interview prep should be ready for them. Second, it should be accessed from anywhere, from any provinces, even from our clients who are coming to Canada before coming here. We have a lot of refugees who in the EMPP program who are preparing to come to Canada, and they want to test it and to ask questions and to prepare themselves. And last, we need to remove or test that, removing the human things, to make no barriers or no hesitant to interact or ask any kind of questions while you are preparing. Sometimes, especially in different cultural, they will think that, okay, asking this question maybe show me that I have a lack of knowledge. I'll hesitant to ask this, how to ask or how to answer this kind of questions. But it could be very simple because I don't know that how to ask this in Canadian market rather than asking it in the other region, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think those benefits all make a lot of sense for sure. And I think, like you said, it's like it allows you to scale much better too. And it doesn't mean that they can't have human interview prep with experts. It just means that maybe they're come to those better prepared because they've already had virtual training sessions.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So Abby had not a question, but can you see the chat, Wasim?
I can see it now, yes.
So Abhinav had a question or a statement.
I would like to know more about the data insights from mentors. As a Datathon participant, I struggled to find data regarding the relationship between mentor and mentee. Did they continue their relationship, or how long were they in contact with each other before and after finding employment? Which industry in the mentor for? A great insight here, Abby. So actually, we update our mentorship parts. We put more fields now, and in the we are asking those kind of questions based on actually your challenges. We added this in the feedback form and the interviewing, exit interviewing with our mentors, and with the reason or the fields of the reason of failure or success within our mentorship card. So hopefully by time, and we will do that for, let's say, for the last 3 or 5 months, let's say, we'll try to update our records based on the new cards. And hopefully that will give us the ability to analyze those kind of, or to answer those questions.
Awesome. Okay, I would say last chance at asking a question here. Any other questions at all? Feel free to put it in the chat, or like I said, unmute. Maybe going, so, or if you still have questions, we can also pause at the end once more and ask more questions then. But otherwise, I think this was actually a great segue, Abhinav, your statement in the chat there, because potentially what you're asking about might be a good opportunity for a micro project. And so I just want to share a few slides about the micro projects and what they're all about so that everybody knows what they are, and you can think about whether you'd be interested in pitching a micro project or contributing to one as they are launched here in the coming days. So can everybody see my screen there? Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so just sharing a bit more information on the micro projects. Sorry. Okay, so they're advancing now. So typically micro projects are short-term projects that are initiated and done by a team of 1 to 5 volunteers. Being consistent with Data for Good and what we do, they're aiming for a social benefit and working towards a public good outcome. They're 1 to 4 weeks in duration from when the work actually starts to when it's supposed to finish. And most typically, we use open data and tools of the team's choice. And they're also supported by a project coordinator and Data for Good, some of the core team members too. And really, yes, so the team can consist of 1 to 5 volunteers. Usually it's like one person that takes the lead and comes up with the idea and then pitches that idea. That is like, hey, I would love to dig into this topic more because I'm passionate about it and I want to analyze it further. And so I want to launch a micro project, work with some other volunteers from Data for Good, and really tackle this in a short period of 1 to 4 weeks here. So why are we doing this? Like Jeff mentioned, there's a real appetite to contribute to projects. And so micro projects are a great opportunity for volunteers to get involved and contribute and give back to the space. In this case, in particular, to continue working with the data from Jumpstart Refugee Talent and help them make further progress to build off of what we already saw and heard about today. In addition to that, it is an opportunity for you to use and hone your current skills and potentially learn new skills as well, both technical and soft skill wise. You might learn about different tools and platforms, ways of doing things from some of the colleagues that you'd be working with. But of course, working in a group setting can be challenging, can be a lot of fun. And no matter what, it's great to build your experience when it comes to soft skills in that area. It allows you to collaborate and network with data for gooders. Data do-gooders is another way of putting that. And it hopefully will help you build a showcase or a portfolio. So add to sort of the project that you can say you've worked on, which might be useful when you're, talking to people about example work that you've done. Let's say if you're switching careers or looking for a job or something like that. It also allows us to grow Data for Good's data and knowledge, and will benefit the community at large, of course. And we also hope that it's a lot of fun participating in the micro projects. Now, there is some typical selection guidelines. I would say this is slightly modified because we are working with the Jumpstart Refugee Talent data. So some of these are already sort of like checked off by default. We want the projects to serve the community, to be socially responsible, and to have a positive impact on the community and social good. We don't typically like to get involved in projects that can be done by commercial organizations. That would be sort of a typical consulting or outsourcing job for example, implementing a new CRM for an organization. We don't usually want to get or recommend bringing micro projects forward that have a commercial or a profit motive, and definitely not something that's divisive or has a political motive as well. And project selection is usually largely at the Data for Good core team's discretion. In this case, of course, we're going to be working closely with Jumpstart Refugee Talent, Wasim, to look at the projects that are pitched and then moving those forward depending on how we feel and how Wasim feels about them as well. Now, Wasim has already mentioned a couple of projects. These were initially pitched actually back in the spring. So we're bringing these forward to the fall because we didn't get a chance to actually launch those in time. So we're looking to restart these here in the fall and actually recruit volunteers for this pretty soon here. But in addition, of course, you can also pitch additional projects. So you heard about what some of the outcomes were from the Datathon today from Wasim. You might be familiar with the data based on your participation in the Datathon. If you're not super familiar, we can share with you a presentation that talks you through that data. And so based on that, you can come up with new ideas for additional micro projects that you would like to launch for Jumpstart Refugee Talent. In addition, actually, I'll just say, we will be launching more micro projects that are not exclusive to Jumpstart Refugee Talent. So if you have some ideas today that don't really fit into the Jumpstart realm, you can always hold on to those ideas and pitch them when we get to that later in the fall here. And what does the timeline look like roughly? We're going to ask for everyone to submit their project ideas through this link. So it's a survey that I'll show you in a second by October 1st. Then we would like to review the projects pretty quickly, roughly by October 4th, and issue a call for volunteers pretty quickly as well. Or if you know that you want to work with a few colleagues already, you can also assemble your own Data for Good team. You'd have to sign a data use agreement, and then we're looking to kick off roughly the week of October 16th, which would take us to a wrap-up date of the week of November 6th, if we stick to a 4-week schedule there, from when the project kicks off to when it actually concludes. Now, these are tentative timelines for now. The one thing that's clear is that we'll cut off intake by October 1st. So if you have any ideas or questions that you would like to ask us about the micro projects before submitting an idea, please do so pretty quickly here. If you're not sure, I'd recommend just submit the project idea. We can always talk to your questions after you submit it as well. Now, this link here, I'll share in the chat in 1 second. It will take you to this form. And just confirming, Jeff, via thumbs up, you can see that form. Is that correct? Wonderful. So it's a very simple form where you would submit a title that is not not a hard commitment. You'll have an opportunity to change that after, your name, email, team members if you have them, and then the project description and how long you expect it to take. And then from there, we'll review it. We'll get back to you if we have any questions, and otherwise we'll give you that thumbs up or thumbs down on whether we can move forward with that project. So let me put that in the chat. But in the meantime, I'll stop sharing here, and that's all the slides that I had. So if there's any questions about the micro projects or any additional questions for Wasim, this would be the time to ask them.
So just to clarify, David, so there's the 2 micro projects which are already kind of in place then, right? So they don't have to be submitted again by anybody.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay. And if somebody wants to be part of one of those micro project teams, should they submit and then just say that they're wanting to volunteer on that team?
Yes. So if you do want to volunteer for that team, please, we'll be sharing out that we're going to be running the micro project, so you can put your hand up at that time. And if you have expressed your interest to volunteer on micro projects, we'll also be reaching out to that list. But just to be safe, I would just make sure you put your hand up. So look out for when the micro projects launch, and put your hand up to express explicit interest that you'd like to work on these micro projects. Does that answer that, Jeff?
I think so, yeah. So there will be a call for volunteers coming out shortly, and at a minimum, there'll be the 2 micro projects that folks can volunteer for. And if you want to pitch your own, then you fill out a form and add your new idea, which might be a 3rd or 4th one as well. And then after review, they'll get launched, and we'll put out a call for volunteers. Yeah. Okay. Any questions from anybody on anything you've seen tonight? All right. Well, feel free to reach out at any time you wish. Thanks so much, Wasim, and regards to the whole Jumpstart team. You guys are amazing for the work that you're doing in the community, and it's great to see the data being put to use, and it's really exciting. Some of the insights and how they're actually kind of being implemented, and I think it's kind of a win-win-win situation for Jumpstart and Data for Good and society in general. So with that, we'll call it an evening, and yeah, feel free to join us for our sorry, Corinne, you have a question?
There was a question just posted asking whether somebody could submit an idea, but ask for a different volunteer to lead it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the more ideas that are submitted, the better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then when you look for volunteers to help, you can ask for a project manager or a leader for the project. Good question.
Mm-hmm.
And Wasim, I was trying to come up with a question, but you did such a good job of answering things as you went through your presentation that I was stymied. I was really happy to see how many concrete action items came out of what the results of the Datathon. It's great.
Thank you again for your great work, for good management, for the volunteers and community. It's great, and it's actually building the right plans, the data-driven plans for Jumpstart. Thank you again.
Super. Well, have a good evening, everyone, and we'll be back on October 26th. We're going to have a data industry presentation from a data company that's consulting and doing some great work. It should be really interesting, and we'll go from there. So take care and do good. Bye now.
Thank you.
Bye all.